Animals that get the middle finger from childhood. I mean, hippos are notoriously savage, so I'm kind of not surprised, I guess. Yeah, hippos are terrifying.
A hippo made me cry. Hippos are easily first ballot in the Hood Nature Hall of Fame, but they didn't get it from turning hundreds of humans into hashtags a year, or for being a part-time predatory land whale out of water, while also being fast enough to catch a ticket in a school zone. It's not because of it's not just their eyes. It's because as a kid, I was traumatized by 3 words: hippo, baby, shower.
Excuse me?
Maturing is realizing 2 things about nature. 1,
hippo baby shower. Alright, I'm gonna let him cook. I don't know, that sounds kinda... I don't know if I can say that word, but yeah.
You hit the RNG lottery if you die of old age. And 2, you probably have a worse childhood than an actor from Redacted. Since I've already made a mother and father video on this channel, instead, we're gonna do basically the opposite. Here are the animals that get spanked the hardest by reality the moment they're born. And while this isn't really a bad parents video, we're gonna see some of these animals need CPS in the worst way. So yeah, back to hippos. So as a kid, I was watching this documentary. I couldn't really tell you what it was called or even what it was about, but there was this one scene where a mother hippo showed up with her freshly born calf, and the other hippos,
oh, they look kind of cute. Look at the little fucking, it looks like a little pig.
woke up feeling like Mike. Jackson, Tyson, Jordan, take your pick. Either way, I watched the calf become corpse confetti in front of my eyes. Hippos are actually pretty solid moms. They'll take a maternity leave from the herd and pretty much quarantine herself for weeks to have the kid, and it's usually after a couple of weeks where she'll return to the pod. Problem is, if she comes back to an overcrowded pool or limited resources, or really just a hippoing, males will gang up on the mother, separate her from the calf, and make a hippo baby shower shockingly literal. In their defense, it's technically rare, and it's not like your favorite animals don't follow the same script. But man, did the squeals of an eviscerated baby hippo alter my brain chemistry.
Massive piss. They kill the baby? Oh my god, that's horrible.
The hippo's first introduction to its own kind is a family pool party that can turn into an actual bloodbath. And if that's too dark for an intro, I'm gonna put this right here, because like the world to Ray Charles, it only gets darker.
I'm so glad I wasn't born a hippo. Oh my god.
So in my non-professional online
scary.
opinion, there's about 4 ways animals fresh out the womb get violated by the natural order. And the first one's what hippos go through, which I like to call running the gauntlet. It basically means because of circumstances, an animal too young to be anything but a milk merchant has to go through trials, tests, and a real-life bullet hell that I would hesitate to wish on my worst enemy. And unfortunately, my worst enemy is not this bird. You see, the barnacle goose had a problem. They build nests on high, cloud-caressing cliffs, away from polar bears and foxes, but their food source, aka their entire way of life, is at the very bottom. And because they're basically flying lawnmowers that eat mostly grass, they can't just mama bird food into their faces. And air Ubering them down ain't on the table either. So their only option is to jump. All the way down. The day-old flightless baby barnacles freefall up to 400 feet straight down. The Statue of Liberty would be a vacation for them, and the only thing breaking their fall are the rocks littering the bottom. Really, the only break they get is nature giving them a fluffy down coat and flyweight class to make the whole
No, you're trolling. Oh my god.
rock for anything less of an immediate game over. But don't worry.
Not the added sound effects. Oh my gosh, the squeaky toy.
It gets worse. The parent geese do help by calling out to the chicks and kind of coaching them down, but their encouragement can end up attracting the same predators they were trying to avoid in the first place.
So
also, as a conscious cotton ball, they go wherever the wind blows them, and if that happens to be too far away, they can get snatched by a raven before their parents even get to them. Not to mention, barnacle geese don't get full immunity. 10% of the chicks become a casualty to the cliffs, and only 1/3 are alive after 2 days. Basically, this is the second animal in the row where baby shower sounds more like a sick joke, and wouldn't you know, they're not the only birds that don't need autumn to be
babies showering from the sky.
Wood ducks have to eat themselves up to 50 feet out of their tree nest or starve to death inside. I didn't know water landing was a luxury because merganser chicks have to do the same thing, except the best they get are leaves. But at least with ducks and geese, they run the gauntlet, but they have their—
At least it's not a bunch of rocks at the bottom and you get impaled and die. Like, jeez.
Parents there the whole time. This crab could only be so lucky. The Christmas crab's named after the island it's on, and every year, the crustacean exodus travels from within—
Oh, I think I know. They travel and then they get squished to death by cars and stuff. Or eaten by, like, animals. Because they're so tiny.
the forest all the way to the coast.
Yeah, it's the crab rave, they dance.
Well, if If you know what this drink is called, just know crabs have copious amounts of it. Walking to your spring break when you're only inches tall is a struggle enough. Doing it in reverse at tick size is veteran difficulty. Because a few weeks later, the Christmas crab progeny has to backtrack from the beach all the way back into the recesses of the jungle with the rest of the population. It takes over a week straight of walking, while dodging everything from cars to the people in them. And that's if they don't get spawn sniped on the beach by their own kind. Out of the legit billions of crabs that take the journey on,
that's why they have so many, because only so many survive.
Only, let's see here, 0.0001% of them live long enough to continue the cycle. Now, I'm not the best at math. They're arguably the only insect that can give 10% of the Furious 5 problems.
It's like a live buffet. Imagine, like, there's people just eating you like little children, like, hum, dum, dum.
It sounds like all but 1 in 10,000 crablets are statistically
tasty.
Nothing says gauntlet like having so many.
Yeah, they have special bridges for the crabs because there's so many that they kill on the road that they have state-funded bridges so that they can climb up and down on them to cross.
Kids, you basically forced a right hand of RNG to do at least one of your own right. Spoiler alert, you're gonna see that again. But nothing makes running the gauntlet more literal than Godzilla's understudy. Ironically, the marine iguana is only a menace to algae and is reportedly chill like that. Their childhood is anything but, because
this guy looks high as hell.
crab iguanas will lay their eggs deep in sand or volcanic ash. That also means they have to do the dash when their underground nursery turns out to be a snake pit. As soon as the iguanas are born, they immediately rush to the rocks for cover, and that can get them tailgated by, of course, racer snakes. And like their name suggests, they're liable to run down a luckless lizard. Bro really just blew a 4-0 leg lead. Oh, and Euro-stepping Satan's garden hoses doesn't mean they still can't get picked off by the always menacing Galapagos hawk. Running through ops like Marshawn Lynch your first day out is survival of the fittest on steroids. And remember, running the gauntlet is just one of the ways the world plots on the young. But number 2 might arguably be worse. Criminal negligence. Because at least with before, if you take an L, you can chalk it up to a skill issue. But with a parent like that, if you're strapped for luck, you're pretty much in trouble. The harp seal is actually a decent mother. For 12 days, she nurses her pup for less than 2 weeks, then what? She abandons the pup to go find more males, because mother harps are for the sheets. The ice sheets. Keep in mind, the baby seal can't swim or otherwise feed itself for the next 6 weeks, even losing half their weight in the process. Forcing a
Yeah, what happens is they feed them full of milk that is extremely nutritious and fattening, and then they leave them to fend for themselves. That's why they have white coats, because the white coats blend in with the ice more as well. Yeah, and they lose like all of their baby weight because they're starving the whole fucking time.
Hunger strike on your kids is bad enough. Pulling that polar bear country is diabolical. Worst part is, the pups are naive enough to confuse anything that moves for their mother. So those videos of them pulling up to cameramen, it just got a lot darker. Quokkas are on a different kind of timing, because they'll yeet their young as a contingency plan against predators. And while
kangaroos do this as well, yeah. They'll yeet their baby out of the pouch when they see a predator. That's why zookeepers have to approach them cautiously, because it might scare them and drop them, and they might abandon the baby because they think they're in danger. Because they want to survive to give birth to another baby than to, like, you know, die with the baby. That's the animal, like, evolutionary logic.
No, they don't literally throw their babies into the oblivion.
No, they yeet them.
If things ever get too tight during a chase, the muscles in the pouch do the exact opposite and drop the Joey on the ground. And while the screaming, writhing Joey gets the worst kind of attention, Mama Marsupial hightails it, because you know what they say.
What's 17 more years? I can always start again. Make another kid.
Kangaroos, wallabies, and quokkas have all been known to ghost their kids in the worst way. In fact, tree kangaroos have been known to eject their Joey over the stress of a bad storm. But hey, shout out.
Yes, that's why when zookeepers have to be very careful. They can scare them too much, and they basically shit out the kid and abandon them.
To koalas, not only could I not find cases of them sacrificing the youth, some koalas have adopted orphan joeys and looked after them like their own, so big ups to the chlamydia care bear. You got koalas caring for kids that aren't even theirs, and a desaturated deadbeat forfeiting custody to the gulag. Pandas often have twins, but because they only have the facilities to keep one alive, they'll basically flip a coin, keep Zach, and Cody gets returned to sender. To the point where zoos have to play parent trap with a panda and will sub in one twin after another. Whole time the bag of bamboo thinks she only has one. But
pandas are actually one of the stupidest, and I know this is gonna sound really mean, but I think that pandas are one of those things that have been kept alive by humans because they are so incredibly stupid. Have you seen seen how pandas behave in the wild? They get startled by everything. They can only eat a certain bamboo, otherwise they die. They can't eat anything else. It's so funny.
Definitely heard all this before, so I'm not going to go into
definitely
it.
should
What
have
I
been
will do,
dead
though,
long
is
time
mention the
ago,
bird of
extinct.
pandas. This is a grebe. If you haven't seen one before, let this be your introduction.
Adam.
The hooded grebe will have 2 eggs, and they'll lay both on this kind of floating nest. First to hatch hitches a ride on their mom's back. Second place,
Yeah, they are kind of like
it
those.
just gets left there. 97% of the time, the grebe couple only raises
Look
one
at these
chick.
things,
It's bad
they're
enough
so
when pandas do it, but at least the DreamWorks franchise isn't endangered anymore. Being critically close to being cooked while having a one-child policy is just egregious. Oh my god. In fact, the average baby raised per adult each year is 2.
Look at all these
not a
dams.
smudge. Make that 0.2. And yet there's a bird.
They look like those, you know those really old school 90s, like, little peckerboard birds that, like, dip into the water and it's supposed to be, like, some sort of, like, Zen thing? They look like one of those. They do the... I forget what they're called.
Bird that might be worse. Now, how could emperor penguins be here? They were in my Father's Day video, and the mothers aren't slouches either. But in a really cruel twist of fate, the very thing that makes them great parents can royally screw the chick over. Prolactin is a hormone that goes into overdrive once the penguin lays an egg and keeps going long after the chick hatches. And it's believed it's actually the high levels of prolactin that drives the penguin to make the long trip back to its chick after days of filling up at sea. The problem is, the prolactin doesn't fall off if the penguin ends up losing the chick, and the parental drive can be so strong.
I studied penguins in college. I had to take a paper on Antarctic wildlife. They start stealing other people's babies and they get into wars with one another.
It forces them to kidnap someone else's. Not only can the chick get accidentally smothered in the process, most times
and they have huge mosh pit crowds because they start fighting each other. Yeah, like, it's really bad. They're so... And birds are fucking stupid as all hell, man.
Kidnapper loses interest after a couple hours, leaving the forcibly fostered chick to die, either of starvation, freezing, or getting turned out by a giant petrel. Oh, speaking of which, they'll really watch an ice-chilled vulture snatch their child in front of them and will do jack about it. I mean, sometimes they'll try.
Well, they can't really do anything. They're freaking flightless birds, man.
They don't. Imagine the plot of Taken, but if Liam Neeson was in the same room and didn't even move from his couch. To be fair, I honestly don't know what I was expecting here.
Look at walking past them. Watching a child getting clubbed and murdered, and they're like, yep, just minding my own business. Oh, what a nice day outside. Look at that. Look at the sun's out. Very nice. Meanwhile, I'm getting killed. And they're like, what? Did you hear something?
Except better. Mind you, that's only the half of it.
I don't
literally.
care.
Because next is what I like to call, it be your own. You've probably seen videos of storks throwing their own chicks out of nests.
Oh, yeah.
It's cuz in survival of the fittest. Fit isn't about strength or washboard abs, but fit is more like how good you are at making more of yourself and passing the genes off. Look like a liability, and most bird moms
Yeah, storks are, kind of brutal.
aren't going to waste the resources better spent on your bigger brother. They'll just subtract you from the census themselves. And that's not the only way parents can be your biggest op. Scorpions are dedicated enough to literally carry their entire family on their backs for days. But let resources get low enough and you'll see a spice roach having a kid.
Man, I hate scorpions. They just look so freaky. Ew.
And long-tailed skinks go full scorched earth. She'll try to defend her nest, but if she feels like it's getting invaded too often, eventually she'll say F it and eat her entire family first. Funny thing is, most skinks will just lay their eggs and peace out, but those in the area codes of egg-eating snakes will guard their nests. That is until the moms get pressed enough and become the predator. The burying beetle has a different problem. You see, this corpse roach will turn an expired rat into a nursery, but if there's too many beetleists, there won't be enough food and they'll end up small and underdeveloped. So the beetle will systematically murk a small percentage of her own children to keep the ratio highest. And science says it's the beetles that beg the most for food that get packed up. Seriously, the larvae that beetles can beg, by the way, but the ones that only do it when they're genuinely hungry actually have a better chance of surviving than the ones that do it constantly. In a weird way, it's like a creative tactic to reward honesty. Also,
larva.
imagine asking your mom what's for dinner and she takes your head off. Either that, or it's a really messed up game of musical chairs where the biggest beetles get fed first.
That's just like VTuber moms in real
life.
life.
Get left out get terminated, which is actually a great transition to the last pitfall of youth: sibling rivalry, or Beyond Part 2. Spotted hyenas take on site literally. They will try to kill each other the moment they're born, and this ain't a friendly Disney Channel type of fate. A quarter of the cubs born never make it out of the den because of it. And considering the very process of birth can turn both parties into a hashtag, yeah, hyenas got it bad. So does this guy. The shoebill stork is one of many types of birds that will flatline their siblings to survive.
I thought these were wholesome dinosaur birds. What the hell?
Even with different species,
these guys are psychos too.
The stronger chick gets all the food and attention, while the weaker one gets bullied and beaten into oblivion, often while the mother's watching. Heck, sometimes they serve the corpse as a victory meal. But arguably the most brutal case of competition happens in Tasmania. You know exactly where this battle
Tasmanian devils?
Tasmanian devils can birth 20,
so.
30, sometimes up to 40 joeys. But somehow while their opossum cousins have 13 nipples and the short-tailed opossum has 27, the live-action Looney Tune got capped at 4. So now the blind, hairless, raisin-sized joeys have to somehow race their way from the birth canal all the way to
babies,
one of
but
4 milk faucets. As you can guess, the first 4 to feed go on and grow. The remaining joeys get canceled like a Friends spinoff by the mother who eats them alive. I know I said musical chairs earlier, but this is That Meets Saw.
Ew, cannibalism!
And somehow there's an animal that gets done even worse. The sand tiger shark can have up to 50 embryos inside her uterus. The problem is, one litter can have multiple fathers. So once one of the embryos grows big enough, it swims around and starts eating all the others. And they don't just wipe out all the smaller embryos. Once the pup clears them, it then eats all the unfertilized eggs in the uterus. And you know these sharks love zero smokers. The way we found out was from a scientist poking around a pregnant shark's uterus and getting his hand bitten by an undercooked pup. It's a
Oh my god, I didn't know this at all, that it's terrifying! And the only way a guy knew is he got bit by a little baby shark that was still fucking half-baked in there. Dude, yo, fuck nature, man. Fuck this fucking channel.
a special kind of spawn killing when you don't even let them spawn, but it gets
That
even
is
more
so
metal because sand tiger sharks have 2
gross.
uteruses, so usually have 2 pups. And apparently some predatory pups will swim from one uterus to another and murk everything in sight.
Oh
Sand
my
tigers have one of the
God,
lowest
bro.
reproductive rates of any shark, and in utero cannibalism probably doesn't help. So those are all the ways childhood is a figurative flogging for some animals, but I missed one. I missed the animal with arguably the worst childhood of all. What
Okay,
animal
hit
could
me,
that
I'm
be?
ready.
How about the one that has to deal with all of this? The gauntlet, the rivalries, the occasional cannibalism. If you didn't think it could possibly get worse, be glad you're not a sea turtle. Baby sea turtles got the Tasmanian devil experience on brutal, because not only do they have to crawl for their lives from
Hardcore.
beach to sea, they also have to worry about getting digested alive in a vulture's stomach, crushed to death by crocodiles, and even having their eyes gouged out by cutthroat crabs. And yeah,
And you want to know what's fucked up is that they have these tourist attractions and they explicitly tell people not to interfere because part of the reason why baby sea turtles, like, you know, when they come out of the water and then they, like, you know, go in the water as well, you can't interfere. It's part of nature. So you're just watching, like, why not interfere? They're endangered because it's part of nature, man. It's not like it's getting run over by a car. That's humans. Yeah, you can't do anything about it. You just have to let it happen. You get little baby sea turtles getting clubbed by fucking birds.
that one's still alive. And that's just on the beach. Even if they hit the water, they're likely to get
the
greased
sharks
by
are gonna
reef
eat 'em
sharks. And in open water, threats like the dolphin fish are liable to turn turtles into hard candy.
Oh my
Some
God.
species improve their chances by going at night and using the moon as a guide, but man-made lights can confuse the turtles into going the wrong way on the highway. And this ain't Mario Kart. There is no Lakitu to bail them out. And even though sea turtle cannibalism has only really been seen in captivity, I would not put it past the wild ones, cause, well, you remember when I said baby birds are like the potato chips of nature? Baby turtles are like the Kit Kat bars of the beach. Turtles got it so bad that their literal only defense is just having so many kids that doesn't matter how low the odds are, they just have to not be 0. Let's talk numbers.
roll.
If the
Keep
average sea
rolling.
turtle lays, let's say 110 eggs in a clutch, and each lady turtle has an average of 3 clutches in a season, with about 100,000 females nesting at the same time, assuming only half the eggs actually hatch, you're looking at over 16 million hatchlings storming the beaches like Normandy. Numbers carry them so hard that sea turtles will actually sing to each other while in the eggs to make sure they're all on the same page and hatch at the same time. The thing for that, because in some species, only 1 in every 10,000 turtles born live long enough to make it worth it. The ones that do spend most of their lives at sea until one day their internal GPS takes them hundreds, if not thousands of miles back to the beach where it all began. It's almost inspiring. You know, every sea turtle you see was that turtle out of thousands, and if they can make it out of that, hey, maybe we don't have it so bad. Yeah, let me
That
stop
is
right there. Turtles might as well be
brutal.
named after all the shit they take. Imagine nature gifting you a real-life bullet-held middle finger for your birthday, and this is the fastest you can go. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you drink water. Let moms know you appreciate that. Out of all the things she could have been, she's not a harp seat.
Thanks, Mom, for not being a seal and abandoning me to go get some poon. I mean, some dick.
I hope. If you're trying to see turtles for real, Cayman Islands
Thanks,
Turtle
Mom.
Center, 100% recommended. And unless you're a baby turtle, I'ma see y'all in the next one.
I like these birds that do the dances. They're funny. God, that was so disgusting. That was actually one of the grossest videos I've seen in a while. In regards to nature, like this is normal. You know, like it just has been happening for thousands of years, you know?